All right, Barry Woods, what's up, my man?
Nothing, just another day in paradise.
For real, you are doing it right here.
If you got to be quarantined for 4 months, they're the worst places.
On the west coast of the West Coast.
That's it. I mean,
on the right side of
100 yards from the
PCH.
beach. So yeah. Well, actually, there's probably no wrong side.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Malibu, some better than others, but no wrong side.
For sure. So Barry, you're an entrepreneur, philanthropist, professional poker player.
No.
You have to. You've played with Phil Hellmuth.
That doesn't make me professional. It makes me just,
Yeah.
poker player.
Yeah, exactly. Where is that level?
I'm just a recreational player. I don't make professional is one who makes their living off of it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's how I would define professional poker.
And that's all they do?
And I do it recreationally, and I'm playing online now, and I'm losing my ass, but
you're enjoying it?
Yeah, I do it. I mean, I'll play 6 hours a night because I can't just watch TV, so I'm playing poker, and
it's engaging.
Yeah, it's. I mean, a lot of the show. I mean, TV is sedentary and it's mind-numbing. No matter what the show is, you can't get so engrossed in it that it takes your whole body and everything else. So my mind wanders, and I can do two things. I sometimes read the newspaper while I'm playing poker.
Sure.
Watching TV, so I have to stay active doing something.
Is that so? The online poker game as opposed to in person, how different is that for you?
It's much different. I don't want to say I can get a better read from somebody, but I do get a better feeling being in front of somebody and seeing how they're playing.
Sure.
As opposed to knowing even what man or woman and from what country they're playing from, whether it's two guys playing one hand. So it's much different, much harder online.
That would make sense.
Which is why I lose. Plus, everybody tells me it's not rigged. They say people who lose say it's rigged.
Yeah, exactly.
But and they also say you don't remember the hands that you suck out on people.
Yeah.
I do remember some, but it just seems that every hand I'm playing,
you're ahead.
I'm ahead the whole, and then boom, I said, just don't put an ace or a king on the river. Boom,
yeah, thanks, river.
Or no diamond, and there comes a diamond.
Yeah.
And every hand, every turn, because I play sit and go, so a little 6-person sit and goes. Every single one, it's that way.
You just get sucked out on.
Yeah.
That's frustrating.
And there's a couple times that I do it, I flip the guy off.
Yeah.
You can't see me or anything, but like, fuck you for playing that hand to begin with, and
yeah. You're going in there with 3-8 offsuit, and it's.
What do you call me with pocket aces for?
Yeah.
Should have folded. Now I sucked out with 3 3s. So so no, it's just recreational. It's for fun.
Gotcha. Super cool. Well, tell us about your business, man. You've been going for a while.
This year will be 40. What year? This is 2020.
2020.
So, 45 years.
45 years. Is 2020 the craziest year of them all?
This year sucked. It's like
yeah.
Nothing. I don't know of anybody who can really recount a really positive thing in their lives during this year, because there's been so much negative and everything, whether it's the president, whether it's the virus, whether it's the economy. There's so much bad shit.
Yeah.
That good shit is not happening, and if it is, it's minor in comparison. Nobody thinks about it, and nobody's going out purposely trying to get married or something so they have some good stuff because of the virus and everything else. So there's nothing. Nobody tries to proliferate good things because there's too much bad stuff. So yeah, it's been a real fucked year.
Yeah, this is a mulligan year. If we could do this one over.
Yeah, it's.
I think there's going to be some good that come out of it. There's got to be. With the right perspective, I would say.
Well, if in November we
figure that one out.
Yeah, we get that right for a change. That could be a good thing.
I'm pretty confident. If I was going to lay a bet, it's not going to be Trump or Biden. I think we're going to have a dark horse coming.
Really? Well, you say a dark horse coming. You say a dark horse actually going to win?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's that divided in regards to there's obviously a little bit of cognitive decline with Joe Biden. Trump is a bombastic human being, to say the least, and I do think there is a wide gap for a middle road between the two. And I think that vacuum that's there is if someone who can come in who's reasonable. I think there's enough of the silent majority who's like, we need to get back to some normalcy, and I think could do it.
Yeah, there's enough room for somebody who can put, a sentence together. I was just watching before you called me out here, a video that somebody put a clip in of Biden. I guess he's sitting, maybe it's The View or something, and they're showing the women looking at him as he's actually trying to explain something. And he starts a sentence and he mixes up words, and in the middle of that sentence he goes to another sentence. So it's like 12 different thoughts put together in a hodgepodge, and they're going.
Yeah, it's what everybody's going to do. And you're like, this guy's going to be calling the shots? You're like, that all doesn't make me feel safe either.
See, I have confidence in him that he can run the country. The fact that he can't speak, I'm not worried about it. First, don't have a debate.
Sure.
That's the first thing. Neither one of you are competent enough to have a debate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be like watching, Abbott and Costello out on stage.
Sure.
Just stay back and let people vote on things. You're not going to convince anybody. If anything, you're going to unconvince people to vote for you. So just shut the fuck up and stay off the stage.
Sure.
I don't think there's enough time. I mean, people would vote for somebody competent. I mean, if anybody, Yang or any of these other people had stayed in the race.
I would love to see
back
Andrew Yang, man. He would get my vote.
The question is, would any of these people start back up now? Say, listen, there's too many people that are not happy with either candidate. Let me try it again. And if he had enough of a base that if people were put some more money into him, he could possibly, him or somebody else, could possibly take it away from Biden.
Yeah, there was a Joe Rogan episode with Brett Weinstein on it, and he was talking about Andrew Yang and I forget the guy's name, but an admiral. If they came together, he's very well respected. He's more conservative. Yang obviously more on the Democratic side, but the marriage between those two guys, that middle ground, some semblance of normalcy, like that's what the country needs. I think if we could do that, that'd be great. Yeah,
no, it would be. I just don't think there's enough time.
Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah, you got 5 months to try to
to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot for sure.
Yeah.
What have been some challenges that you've had with your business in COVID?
We were lucky in the beginning. Some of our major clients declared us as an essential service.
Sure.
So we did not stop doing any work. We kept on doing it. Didn't increase in any way, but we didn't have to lay off or cut hours of anybody.
That's awesome.
110, 120 people. So it was important for us to keep these people working. Then, since a couple of our major clients have felt the effects of COVID, one being Metropolitan Transportation Authority, handles all the subway, light rail, and buses. Well, people haven't been riding those, so they have lost billions of dollars in income over the last few months. And
over the last few months?
Yes.
You're saying billions?
The 1.8 billion they have lost, and
Holy
they're getting
cow.
funding to replace it of 1 billion. They're still going to be almost $1 billion.
Is that
short.
through the CARES program?
Yeah, through CARES and some federal funding, other stuff that they have. They'll get 1 billion. They're going to be 800, essentially 1 billion short still. So they took our contracts, and we had to cut like 40% from them.
That's brutal. I bet you they didn't cut their staff, huh?
No, and they actually didn't. We had there was a webinar. They went on. They did not cut 1 hour, one staff member, nothing. But they went to all the subcontractors throughout, and everybody had to cut, and they kept all their people
Shocker.
the same. Yeah.
That's brutal.
If they had made some effort to, furlough a few people or cut their hours,
just some semblance, like, hey, we're in this with you.
Right.
Yeah. That'd make it a little more palatable.
We're keeping our people employed, but sorry you're losing a contract.
Yeah.
So the first round, we worked out to keep everybody employed. We gave people the option, because there was unemployment. You could, through July, there's an extra $600 the federal government has. So if you want to quit, or not quit, but get laid off now, we can do that through July, and that will help us, and you'll get more money than what you were being paid because of the unemployment. So a few people took that. One person felt more comfortable not working during COVID, so we let him go off, and we kept his salary in, so he was paid to be off just because he didn't want to get sick, so we didn't want to cut his salary. So anybody who won, then we took the ones that were over 65, we had them off, and we paid them their salary. So we kept everybody working or paying, whether they were working or not. And now we went down, and my son worked on with Josh a way to figure out how to keep the most people working. And we were able to do that. We put people on, they were, cut down 1 day a week. Instead of laying off people, everybody took the hit by losing a few hours.
Sure.
And taking some hours off you take one guy off the higher paying job, and then the guy is off 1 day on the lower paying job, or 2 days on the lower paying job. You can give them 1 day on the higher paying job, and it makes up for it. So everybody comes a little bit happier, and we cut the hours everybody wanted. Well, that worked fine until they just came back and wanted another cut.
Jeez.
And that now is that we had to, it's like people being laid off. There's just no way to cut any more hours.
Sure.
From anybody. So, and then the county then came to us, and in the past they've wanted 5 or 10% cut on contracts, which we just take the cut off profit and eat it. This they wanted, I think 30%, 30-40%.
Holy cow!
So we had to cut the county people and putting them on like 4 7-hour days instead of 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
They work 28 hours a week. So they're still staying working, and those that want to get off, work 3 weeks, off 1 week, they can start their unemployment, and once they start it, they can be off and they'll collect it again. They don't have a waiting period.
Yep.
So we can have you laid off every month for 1 week, and you'll still collect
and recoup
unemployment.
it.
So we're trying to keep them all working.
Well, given what you guys do, like the scope of your work, can you explain that really quick? 'Cause I feel like you can't cut that stuff. Like there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, well, that's why we were considered essential with MTA.
Yeah.
You have to keep the rail lines clear, weeds, trash, debris. Got to keep graffiti off the stations and off the properties because of the image it is and what their responsibility. But they got to the point, well, nobody's riding the rail lines. We don't need this shit cleaned.
Yeah.
Is what they basically done. They overspent for us to do things for the image to make sure that the stations look great. When one of the CEO before Washington was, it was the week he was leaving or something. He went to one of the stations. He graduated SC. So one of the stations that he passed every day, they wanted us to tear out everything. It's a huge area. Tear out every area and plant USC's colors, gold and whatever, purple. So we planned to redo the whole place with new flowers for him, and then take them out again after we left. So they spent a lot of money doing a lot of things for image. The MTA, it's important for them that the bus stations, the transport power stations, the regular stations, everything is clean and presentable. So they spend money doing it. So ours was essential.
I think that is important too.
It is.
Like I think that is what makes your city look better. If the city's paying good money to make sure it looks pristine.
Yeah, the infrastructure is important. People ride the subway a whole distance, and you don't want to see the broken window syndrome. You don't want to see broken windows and trash and what some of Minneapolis looked like after the riots. You don't want to see that on a daily basis. So they pay to have us keep it clean, and now they're willing to sacrifice that to a certain extent. And we told them, we're trying to make them an offer. I don't think they'll take it. Was that we'll keep everything the same, and instead of net 30 days, we'll give you net 360s. We'll float you for a year on any of the work.
Wow.
2 years. So whatever it's, so if it's $10-12 million, we'll let you on, or instead of cutting us 4 or 5 or 6 million, we'll float you on that. So we know we can keep the people working, and they'll be paid, and we'll get the money eventually, and the MTA keeps everything going.
That's a very fair deal.
It's a great deal, but they'd have to go to the board of supervisors, and these people have to
follow. Go through a bunch of bureaucrats.
Here's a contractor loaning us money, and so I don't think it's going to go. But if it was somebody else, they probably would go for it.
Yeah, as a private organization, like, all right, this makes sense to do.
You just have one guy saying yes or no. You don't have a whole board of political.
I bet you that's a different. I don't want to say sale, but a different environment in which to do business. Like we don't work with any municipalities. We have a few clients that do, but How different is that from dealing with the individual private organization compared to like a municipality where you have a bureaucracy to?
That's what's very hard. And when I started the business, we went into this, it was a little bit easier. But knowing what I know now and all the crap that you have to put up with, I might not get into this line of work.
Really?
It is very hard work, and that's why there's a lot of why we can do what we do with less competition, because nobody wants to get into it. When you see bid packages, hundreds of pages, and you see all the requirements you have to do, the licenses, the training, the classes, the insurance, which is more than normal what they want. You have the umbrella, and then you have some type of a rider. I mean, it's horrendous, the requirements. Some of which don't mean anything, but it's in there and it scares people off. We've been able to get through it, and we know exactly what we have to do, and it becomes road for us. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So it's much harder dealing with the bureaucracy than it is individual. And that the opposite, I mean, the same is true, but in opposite sense. When the city works with us, City of LA, they want to get, for instance, something in a park, or some new park bench or something. They have to go through a whole, so it's on our budget, or we have to go and ask a request and do this and that. So what they do is instead they have us, can you guys get us, we get a park bench for them and bill them over time for that thing.
Sure.
So they get what they need right away, costs them the same amount of money, and they don't have to go through the bureaucracy of
And
making
they know
requests.
it too.
Yeah. So
That is
they get it
awesome.
quicker through us than they can through their own bureaucracy. And it's the same thing. We rather deal with an individual
Sure.
who can make the decision right away. And that's what some of the ways that we sell ourselves to a client is that you need something, we can do it right away. We don't have a hierarchy of people that you have to go through, a whole middle manager, or you want something done, we take care of it. If somebody's out, if there's graffiti in an area, we do it. We don't have to write permission, ask you if it's over here and we getting paid for it. We'll do it. If we don't get paid for it, we don't get paid for it. But it's something we need to do.
Sure.
So it is a two-way street, and it's sometimes hard, but we have such a great relationship with MTA, and the people that we work with are great.
That's awesome.
On that level, and they understand us, and they work hard for us to keep us working, and they feel just as bad as we do when they have to cut our hours. The guy who had to call us, I mean, he I would say he was in tears, but I mean, he was really upset that because it also makes their job harder when they have a contractor like us, and we've been told this. They make one phone call, or they know we're on the job. Their job is so much easier. They don't have to do anything. They sit back. They can go to the beach because they know the property is going to be cleaned.
Done.
Yeah, they know it's going to be taken care of. And if a problem comes up, they'll call us, and they know it's going to be taken care of. Other contractors, they're still going to be stressed out, and their job is on the line because, wait, the contractor you're supervising didn't do it. Why? But with us, they get it, which is why they bend over backwards to give us contracts also, to make sure that we are the best for the contract. Why they convert it to RFPs, so you can give it to the best contractor, not the lowest price one.
Sure.
So
that's such a better mechanism to actually get it done.
For everybody. It should be. We want to be able to choose the best. I mean, the Challenger, was built by the lowest, contractor.
Exactly.
What can we do? Can we put some cheap seals in here?
Yeah.
So it's like,
What's a good way? We look at the insurance the same way. Is most folks are saying, hey, give me the lowest quote, I'll work with you. But you've seen the impact of when your claims don't get controlled.
Yeah.
Right?
No. I mean, the product is essentially the same, but insurance is the service that you're getting, and that, to me, is more important than the product, which is the policy.
Yeah.
Having somebody work for us and fighting to get claims released under workers' comp or a car accident, somebody it's a bullshit claim, but fighting with them saying no, this shouldn't be paid, that saves us money. So yes, the product is the same, but working to keep that product low is what's really important, and that's the service element. So insurance, we're buying the service, not buying the product.
Absolutely. It's
Other
the same,
people buy the product.
But to the point, it's the RFP process, right?
Yeah.
So if you go through that, like, what else are you getting with that? And I think that's the appropriate way to do it.
Yeah.
Where else have you guys worked in different states too, right?
We have licenses in Texas, Arizona, and Nevada.
Okay.
So we've worked at all those before. We've had contracts in Las Vegas, doing graffiti on the Strip. We've did in Austin, Texas. We did all the parks, graffiti free, and in Arizona, we had a contract in Mesa, Arizona for graffiti.
Nice.
So we've done work in Northern California for up in San Francisco, the Trans-Bay Terminal. So we'll go where there's a job that we can
work
do.
to be done.
And, yeah.
How's that process in getting in with the cities? How does that happen?
Because they're competitive bid, we get the bid.
Well, they're all public, I guess.
They're all public, so anybody can bid on it.
Sure.
I can't think of any offhand that we were specifically requested by a city to bid on something, but that's one of my jobs. I have 96 cities listed under my bids that I check. So over 2 weeks, I check 10 a day for bid notices of these various cities.
Sure.
Plus we're on bid notices, so we get notified from various cities when a bid's out. And my son also checks. He just sent me two. I don't know why he sent those. One is for Coachella, the other is for Palmdale. It's like, if you want to find us jobs, find something around here.
A little local?
I don't need a landscape job in Coachella.
Yeah.
So,
2.5 hours out there?
Yeah, so we'll go there and go mow my lawn.
Yeah.
So we hear about bids and we bid on them and talk to the cities, and they get our references, and hopefully we can get it.
Are those references a big deal? Do they go a long way?
And sometimes they are. Now with MTA, they're rebidding all the contracts.
Oh, really?
The time is up.
How does that? Oh,
the 5 years
it
is
came
up.
up?
So we're now month to month on some of these. So they had put out graffiti, and they also broke it up. We had all the contracts originally, and then they broke it up into 2 areas and 3 within each area, and now they're breaking it up into 3 areas and 3 more and 3 contracts in each area.
Whoa.
So it's very complicated.
Are those each? So you have to do an RFP for each section?
It's
well, that's a lot of extra work.
yeah. There's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, you're handing in a shitload of paperwork. To bid these. So we bid. We were not the low bid on any of the graffiti ones, and we were second. But the low bid, the guy is a complete dick. Terrible. And the guy is just terrible to begin with and is a troublemaker and does a crappy job. So the references he didn't put down, we referred to MTA. Say, by the way, check this reference for the guy. And then we give them our letters of stuff. Plus we work for the MTA, so they know our work. So if they don't know you or you have a problem, your references are part of the deal.
Pretty important.
They put maybe 30% of the bid on references.
Gotcha.
And they'll put like 20 or 25% on your work plan, some on the insurance and your requirements that you can get, and on your technical capabilities. So different cities do different.
We'll weigh it differently and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
And we get some of them if they know that one we just got for Laguna Niguel to bid, and we all looked at them. It's an unbelievable bid that they put out. Just who wants to do this thing? They say reference you need 10 years. Who has ever put down you needed 10 years experience doing this work? For cities, it's pressure washing and graffiti removal buildings and stuff in Laguna Niguel.
Yeah, you need at least 10 years to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, why not 40 years?
Yeah.
And then all these other requirements that were ridiculous, so we're not going to bid it. But you get some that go the extreme, and yet that one also says you don't need. They wanted licenses in wood preservation or some other bull crap that they have for wood buildings, but they're not asking for a contractor's license. How can you ask for this, but you don't want a contractor's license?
Yeah.
And part of it is because they're trying to do not prevailing wage rate. So if you do a contractor's license, you have to do prevailing wage rate and DIR, and then the price goes up to $55
dramatically.
an hour. So they're
trying
playing
to get
fast
around
and
that.
loose with the shit. Yeah. So it's not worth us bidding on and going that way.
For sure.
But we do what we can with references, and we've always had a great relationship with all the cities and all of our clients. I can't think, other than one with LA one time.
I feel like every contractor who's worked in LA has had that story.
And this one, every contract had a problem with this guy in this contract, which is why they kept on putting it back out again.
Sure.
Because nobody wanted to work it. Other than that, 45 years, we've never been kicked off a job. Never defaulted on a job.
That's awesome.
And, so this has been good.
That's really cool. What so in regards to the scope of your work, I know you guys were potentially getting into the homeless encampment abatement, or
yeah, we're doing it. We're not doing it only because because of COVID-19 in the city.
Sure.
And the state has put a hold on anybody doing anything with the homeless. You cannot move them. You can't, interfacing with them. There's nothing. We were working with the homeless in the flood control channels. Our guys,
Yeah.
we set up a relationship with them, and we bring them bags for trash. We bring them bags for their belongings and stuff, and help them get services they would need and refer them places. So we were getting into that, and we had started our division for the homeless encampment of cleaning up when the city comes in, bring in the police. They bring them out. We come in, clean the area. They resettle back in again. But because of COVID, all that's put on hold. So none of that's done. So the homeless are suffering probably the worst because they're not getting any services.
Sure.
And they're just treated like the ugly redheaded stepchildren of like every city.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of folks here that are homeless in LA.
Oh yeah.
Like, would that happen on Skid Row, or would that just be in like the?
That's everybody. It's Malibu. There's like 54 homeless in Malibu, which I don't understand why there's not more. If I had to be homeless, I'd come.
Yeah, saddle up here
Malibu,
for sure.
Get a suntan layout.
Yeah.
I want to be homeless downtown LA.
You're barely homeless if you're living in Malibu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, which you're homeless.
You're urban camping.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on?
You go to the welfare department and they ask you where you're homeless in Malibu. The guy kicks you out.
Yeah.
You're homeless there, forget it. You're not
That
getting
is
shit.
awesome.
Here's your cheese wheel. Get on your way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so homeless is a big problem, and they're like the elderly and the sick. Our society treats those three elements with the most disdain and the least compassion, which is the ones that should be the most compassionate.
For sure, especially the elderly thing. We have a weird relationship. We just had one of our other clients on here who has like RCFE, so in-home unskilled folks for Alzheimer's dementia.
Yep.
And families will just drop them off. They're like, all right, don't have to see grandmother for a month or two, and you have these other folks just looking after your family, and that's the saddest stuff that I don't think there's a lot of other cultures in the world that deal with their elderly like that. Yeah. And I do think that we're going to pay for that. That's a major problem.
I mean, the elderly, there's so much to learn from them, and that's a whole resource that we just throw out the window.
Sure.
You look at the younger generation, they treat their own parents and grandparents with, a lack of respect, and, I don't want to go visit grandpa, or just stick them over on the side. And you look at the cultures in Asia, like Japan especially, where these people were revered, and in the Asian cultures, the parents, become the grandparents, live with the daughter's family, the whole thing, and the husband, they all happy to take them in.
Yeah.
So you're marrying the girl, but you're getting her whole family to come and move with you. So you know that in advance, and you're still willing to make that commitment.
Yeah.
That your life is not just you and your wife and kids that you're going to have, it's the extended family.
Japan has something we don't, man. They have a certain level of honor that they have in their society that like we don't even brush with.
Yeah, you can't come close to it. It's an embarrassment as a society if you look back. And I was just finished watching Picard on CBS All Access. A guy recommended it, and to do with the Romulans and wiping out planets and how they treat the synthetics and stuff. And the people were, if you want to race relations, they were treated with the least respect, put into ghettos, into their own planets and their own cities and settlements. What Israel's doing, there's a tremendous lack of respect for other humans in our culture.
Yeah.
Whether it's a race, a minority race, whether it's an elderly person, whether it's somebody that doesn't look like you.
It's tribalism. It's a very, very normal thing we've done through all out human history, and we have to get over it at some point.
We're no different than Sudan and Somalia and these other places that have the tribal warlords. Ours is just a little bit
more sophisticated.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
We're playing the same game. It's just more sophisticated and less actual physical violence, and
we're not fighting over dirt.
Yeah. We'll get there, man. I have confidence.
I don't know. I mean, this year, if you take all the crap that's happened up to this point, sort of an end of times philosophy.
Yeah, let's go apocalyptic right now.
It's like, this is it. This is, the beginning of the end. It's if we don't recover from COVID, and I think a second wave is coming, if we don't recover from that, and we have, I hate to say, 4 more years of Trump or anybody similar that is not competent, that's a major, there's no more interacting with other nations, so we become isolated at that point. I just read where Europe is planning to close the borders to Americans. Because we have not controlled COVID, they're not letting any Americans into the EU. It's going to become isolated at everyone. We're not letting in the Chinese. They're not letting us in. Canada. So it's A. So it's not like a lot of friendliness going around.
Yeah.
So things that go shitty.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it could. I don't think it's going to. I have a lot of confidence that the real problem isn't COVID. I don't think that's. I think it is an issue for folks that are
it's an issue,
have an immune issue, but it's not going to go away. This is the 4th virus to come out of China. The 2nd SARS virus. This is going to be a persistent problem, and we're not talking about the real solution to the problem, which is we need to start being healthier and take care of our wellness, as opposed to how do we treat sick people. The folks that are actually being impacted by this have another morbidity issue, right? Whether that's obesity or some sort of problem that's underlying.
Your immune system is somewhat compromised, so they're going to be.
But that's not being talked about. No one's having that conversation, which is very, very important to have. And so I do think if anything that comes out of this is we do need to start taking care of ourselves as individuals, which is the best way to actually heal.
Well, do you think they're going to do anything about healthcare because of that? Are they going to equate, COVID attacked these people who had these deficiencies in their immune system? Maybe we need to work on the health of everybody to fix this, which will prevent this. Or they say, no, here's our pandemic response report, and this is what we're going to do when a pandemic comes, instead of starting over here with universal health care or whatever to get the people healthy so they don't have this problem. I think they're going for the problem and not the cure.
I think so too. The problem with the universal health care that I see is that's not about your diet and your exercise. That is about treating chronic stuff. You're treating symptoms, and if you're treating symptoms, you're not actually dealing with the core, which is how do you become healthy.
Yeah, but then again, we're not a holistic society.
That's for sure.
That believes in that. We're always been the type that
Band-Aid
see
solution.
a doctor. Yeah, exactly. See a doctor when you're sick. Let's not see one to tell you how not to become sick.
Yeah. Which I think we'll get there. We got to. The alternative is we'll continue being
optimistic
isolated.
or delusional. But,
32, man.
There's a fine
I'm 32,
line.
dog. I can't do it.
Explains a lot.
Yeah.
One of those millennial fucks.
I have to. Exactly. The alternative, man, is doom and gloom, and
well, that's what it's going to be. So get used to it.
Yeah. But I think that's happened. Perpetually throughout history. It's always as you get older, you typically will see the country going in or your culture going in the wrong direction because things are changing. And as a younger person, you're like, all right, all the older folks fuck stuff up for us, and we're cleaning up the mess. And that's a persistent problem that every generation always has. So when I'm 70 years old, I'm going to be sitting just like you and be like, we're totally hosed. And then...
But then you look at, I don't know who's cleaning out the mess. I don't see the millennials. I don't see the 30-year-olds doing it.
I agree.
I still see the
the
older
generation below us, I've heard, is pretty decent. Which surprised me. I think millennials are the ones that we have...
They're the ones I think responsible for this shit.
No, dude. Think about the parents who raised us. That's the issue.
We did our job.
Exactly. You raised these monsters.
We taught you, and you're supposed to take it and go with it.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah.
You took the fraud. You took the road diverged.
Yeah. We took the one not traveled.
Yeah, exactly. You went the wrong fucking way.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Turn right.
Man.
Turn right. Nah, shit. I'm going left.
Yeah. Okay, whatever you say. That's awesome.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my license plate now.
Is boomer?
Okay, boomer.
That's perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you see it going a bad way.
Yeah.
But I think the world's getting better. Objectively, you could make that case, and I could make that case if you, depending on your horizon, right? If you look over the past 6 months, the world's probably not getting better. But if you look over the past 20 years, objectively.
Okay, let's forget 20 years. I mean, you can say, well, over the last 100 years, of course, it's getting better.
Okay.
But with the progress that has been made over the last 100 years, and then you take in smaller increments, over the last 10 years, we've gone downhill from years before. We didn't take what we learned in the prior years. Let's say you take a 100-year timeline.
Yep.
100 years. Take 90 years. All that we gathered there, we should have then gone up. Instead, we've taken it and either plateaued or gone down. So these last 10 years...
You feel like we're regressing?
Yeah. We can still go back up, possibly, but in the last 10 years, we've gone to shit.
Gotcha. In what capacity do you mean by that?
In every capacity. Other than technology, which is improved.
Sure.
But has it improved?
Might not even be a good thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Has it improved people's lives? It's improved as far as, let's say, in the medical field and chemistry and stuff, and come out with medicines and shit. But then you got opioids, so there's good with the bad.
Sure.
The geopolitical spectrum has gone down. More nations are fighting. There's more wars. There's more shit going on than ever before. So
hold on.
None of that has.
You think there's more wars going on than ever before?
Yeah.
What about like World War II?
Okay, World War II is one war. You have in Central and South Africa. You have millions of different countries fighting each other. You got
that's very true.
The Muslims in Asia that are fighting with the Chinese, and you got the I can't pronounce it. The ones in Myanmar. Yeah, you have wars all over the place now, and whether you call it a war or infighting,
skirmish or
any
of that stuff
that is going on.
Do you think that part of the reason why that perception might be out there is because the news covers that more, and we have 24-hour-a-day news covering, and people just want click, click, click? Because that's where I would lead. That's what I always come down to, is people are more receptive to negative stuff going on. You have CNN, Fox News, all those folks need clicks. They need to keep up with the new media, which, to be candid with you, like all the social media we're doing, I was in the airport like 6 months ago, and we were waiting for our bags, and legitimately there's 35 people there just on their phones, every single person. And that's the kind of stuff that I agree with you, like, hey, that is not good for anybody. You see kids in restaurants who are 2 and 3 years old, they're just doing that, and that we're going to pay for that. That's going to be a problem for sure.
So you look at that, you look at the educational system. Instead of improving, we're still paying teachers like shit and giving them the responsibility, and people aren't learning.
I agree with that.
In the medical field, there's more. There's a shitload of overdosing and drug dependency. From creating these drugs.
1/3 of every single American is on some sort of psych medication. 1/3.
Really?
Yeah, on psych medication. So when you're talking about like we need to put more money in healthcare, I don't know if that's the solution.
Well, more money in healthcare doesn't necessarily mean creating more drugs. Maybe it means fixing the people that are on drugs now and giving more education and more self-help
I think that's
groups
valuable.
and stuff.
I
think
agree
before anybody gets a drug, almost of anything, there needs to be a mandated, government-supported class, as it were, or roundtable session. You're going to take Zantac or something else. You have a 4-hour class that you have to go to learn about this, the pros, the cons, and what it does. And
you're required to go to.
You're required to go to before we can give you that prescription. The prescription is not good until they stamp it for you could then take it.
Isn't that what a doctor's supposed to be doing?
No, you go to a doctor's, they make their money off that shit half the time.
I agree. But isn't that what a doctor should be doing as opposed to a government-sponsored program?
A doctor doesn't have the time or the knowledge.
So isn't that...
Or the knowledge to consult every patient of theirs on every drug that they may be taking, whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's psycho drugs, whether it's obesity. They can't know all this. That's the purpose of the drug salespeople are teaching the doctors just this much information, so you know if your patient, you have 4 of these and you got a patient come in, which of these 4 goes to them. Not the whole surrounding what this is going to do for your future and what you may. That is a whole different discussion. Doctors cannot do that. They're to see you and treat your ailment at that time, not the education part, other than telling you these are the side effects. I mean, they give you the brief thing. I'm saying a full-blown, 2, 4, 6, whatever amount of time is necessary to give you the background on a drug So you have to be committed. Instead of just getting this piece of paper and filling and taking the pill, you have to have the commitment, almost like community service. You go through this, then you really want or need that drug because you've now learned about it. And yeah, maybe I don't need it. Let me and give you alternatives. That same class can give you alternatives to taking that drug. So it's more education is needed in
I
drug
agree
therapy
with you.
programs.
Here's the contention I always have is if you're going to have a government sponsored program that requires people to go do something, you're screwing A with the marks a little bit, and B, that information is online. It definitely is online.
I'm
right?
not saying
that
people can't get the information, but they're not
required to.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make it a requirement. You have to make it mandatory for you to get this drug. You need to be educated about it, and we can't rely on you to get your own education. Otherwise, you would have done it already. So you go to this class, and these doctors. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, just think of how much less they would have spent on the lawsuits with Sacklers and everything else if they had classes and 100 people who have been prescribed the opioids, Vicodin or something, go to this class one day. So they have one guy teaching it for 3 hours. All these people go, and then 10 people decide not to take it because they find out the effects. Or they take less because of it, so there's less people going into the program afterwards.
I think if people are taking opioids, they're like they know what they're getting into. I mean, that's
well, a lot of the people get addicted without the ones that got addicted because they didn't know what they were getting into. That was
that's
the
legit.
Doctors didn't teach,
especially down in Florida.
And the
that place.
Yeah,
I think it was half of all the opioids were delivered through Florida.
Yeah. One guy, I take my 600 million pills today. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody picked up on that stuff in a timely fashion, and that's the problem. And you need some type of overview of it, and that, I hate to say it, has to be government, or a government can get a private. Just say you have prisons run by privates, government, but you have a government sponsor, you get a company that comes into business. Learns all about these things. It's just like you have a driver training. You have
the Smith system that you guys used. You don't know that you did that, but you did do that for your auto.
I'm talking about the what's it called? Driver training, the night school,
like the DUI programs.
Well, just the regular ones. You go to traffic school.
Yeah.
Okay, so that you have a company that runs all that runs different traffic school programs. So you get a ticket.
Have you
get
been
out
to
of the
those?
ticket. I take one a year.
Oh, really?
I have I have 3 tickets pending now. They keep delaying them because of COVID. I get like 6 tickets a year, so I get them either dismissed or I end up with traffic school.
Sure.
Which I do online and.
So you're a seasoned veteran.
Yeah, I already know the answers to the fucking thing. But now mad to the point that you have to watch the video. You can't skip ahead. No, it doesn't change my driving habit. Otherwise, I wouldn't be getting 6 tickets a year. I have a need for speed.
Yeah, you gotta have it.
So you have private companies running these programs. I'm not saying it's going to
foolproof.
You got it. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's get off the doom and gloom. If this ship was going to turn, what do you think some steps could be taken as a culture, society, or probably more importantly as an individual to turn the ship around, as opposed to just letting the apocalypse happen? Or is it already too gone?
I don't think it's too gone, but when we were in India, we were driving to the Oberoi, it's a chain of unbelievable properties in India. I mean, you can't even describe how beautiful they are. And we're staying there, but literally, here's the property, right there, the bomb-torn, worn-out, busted down, cows running around, poor, poverty people, barely, are begging for food.
Massive disparity.
And poverty adjacent to this beautiful, property. And this was all through India, all the poverty that's there. If you all of a sudden had billions of dollars and said, okay, let's get India, bring it in, let's fix India. It could be any country. And somebody said to me, I wouldn't even know where to start. You got roads that aren't roads. You got buildings that aren't buildings. You don't have infrastructure. You don't have government entities that are running things. Where would you start? How would you start to bring that up to a better level, up to here?
I think it's happening. It's happening all across the country. I would do every single conversation I have with some people when they say, this place is going.
This country or India?
Both. It's actually better. I mean, in regards to like the potential for growth, it's all in the emerging markets is where like you're going to see most of the growth. So while Africa, there's a ton of shitty stuff going on in regards to like the tribal warfare.
Okay,
in India, you get these places are getting better. 250,000 people every single hour getting lifted out of abject poverty worldwide. 250,000 every hour.
Really?
200,000 people every hour are getting connected to clean water. 500,000 people a day are getting connected to the power grid. So, like, it's happening. Like, we're really doing it. So the UN came out with a goal in 2000 to have world poverty by 2015. They did it by 2012. And so while poverty is...
Say that again?
So the UN came out with a goal to cut poverty worldwide in half.
Okay, cut it in half. Okay.
By 2015. They did it in 2012. So they did it early. We're doing it. We're in the process. It just takes a long time because there's a ton of problems. And folks, like, when people say, hey, we're killing the environment, we're screwing stuff up, I totally agree with that. But most of the world doesn't care about the environment because they're just trying to keep food on the table, if at all possible.
But yeah, that's all that's interconnected.
Yes.
You're killing the environment. You can't grow crops.
Yes.
You can't feed the people. Diane and I we were in Africa 5 years ago. So we had with another couple. So we had with the Maasai, we had them do a marriage ceremony.
Whoa, that's
been remarried
cool.
a couple of times. So the woman, our guide, was a Maasai, and we became Maasai members for the village.
That's
so
awesome.
I've been communicating with her and asked her how she's doing, her family and stuff. She comes from a family, she was telling me, of 27 children from 3 mothers. She herself, she just had another baby, and I knew she had twins, because we had our twins. So I knew she had twins. And then she had another 10-year-old daughter. And she says, well, I said, God, 4 kids, that's a lot in what you're doing because you're a guide too. She was one of the first female safari guides.
That's cool.
She says, well, no, I have 10 children. I said, her sister died, so she took over her children, some other ones. So I asked about what was happening. It says, there's a problem, there's no tourism. The Maasai have not been able to sell their animals, to buy food, to buy crops. So I've been sending them money. There's a thing called Send Wave. It's specifically for...
What's it called?
Send Wave. It's an app on there that immediately sends the money to people. You don't have to do Western Union or anything. Most you can do is $9.99 a day, $3,000 a month, and it immediately goes right to account. So 10 seconds later, she has the money. You got to be certified and stuff.
Sure.
So she has sent me pictures. Loaded up half a dozen trucks with food, and she has all the villagers and not only her village but all the villages. People lined up, getting the stuff, food that they had that they couldn't get because tourists weren't coming to take safaris. They couldn't sell their animals. They couldn't sell trinkets. The people were really starving in these things, and the government, nobody was helping them.
Yeah.
So this was our little bit to help, a couple thousand people.
Hey, so you stepped in, right?
Yeah.
As a business owner, entrepreneur, philanthropist, you stepped in.
But there's not enough of this. There's more people coming.
So what do we need? We need
Start
probably
all over.
more business owners,
I think-
entrepreneurs, philanthropists, right?
A 40-day, flood, build an ark,
Yeah.
take 2, and start all over again.
Yeah. Do it again. We might, dude.
Maybe do it
Yeah,
right.
we got $7 billion.
At what point? The question would be, if you had to think, at what point, if there was one point in world history, did we start going downhill? Was it always going? We started here and we just always started going down?
No, we're going this way, man. You and I fundamentally disagree.
Yeah, we do.
The direction that things have gone. Like, if you look back at all of human history, it's been shitty. People in the Western world lived on less than $1 a day in today's money in 1890. Everybody was fucking poor.
Yeah.
The child mortality rate in like the 1800s, I think, was 10%, or maybe it was 20%, that you had a 1 in 5 chance of dying before your 5th birthday. And so it's gone down dramatically. And so while a lot of the thing that bothers me the most, the direction I see us going, is us plugged into our phones and our computers and our TV. That is what terrifies me the most, seeing little kids be brought up like that, because I do think there's
Well, that's the parents. That's whether it's the millennials, kids. Our kids don't let our grandkids. They just only started now. They do it when they're here. They get like a half hour they could have on TV,
Sure.
and they when they have their quiet time for half hour, 45 minutes a day, they get an iPad, and it's a story that's read to them that's on the iPad that they
That's
can
cool.
listen to, but not to play games and shit like that.
Sure.
So if parents did that, but you raise kids to watch TV so you can
do anything
something else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're offloading your responsibility
Right.
and saying, hey, you guys sit in front of the TV for 2 hours. I'm going to go do anything else. And typically what parents will do is now granted, I don't have any children, so I'm being that asshole and saying, here's how you should parent without having any
that's
kids.
fine.
However, you see it too. Like, you see parents do that as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's the fact that I see bigger problems than worrying about technology. The hunger is still in this country. Kids, even in this country, besides the world, go to bed hungry. They're underfed. One of our big
But that's
charities.
getting way better.
There's no reason why it should exist at all.
I agree with that. We have a surplus of food in the world.
There's money and food. There's no reason why in 1 week everybody can't be fed.
I agree. I agree with that.
So the fact that it's getting better is not a sufficient answer. And going back to the old people.
Pace. The problem is the pace for you.
Yeah.
But it is objectively, we are feeding more people than we've ever fed before. Like, less people are going hungry than ever in world history. Like, that's the thing, is like, even in the United States, there is a hunger problem here. We have an obesity problem. We have a surplus problem, which is a major toll on our healthcare and like, in every sense of the word. But that's a different problem. Like, we solved a major problem, which is most people don't have enough to eat, and now we have a brand new problem, which is people are too fat and has severe health issues. New problem.
Yeah. But the fact, one of our big charities is the Valley Food Bank.
Yeah.
That we support. And with Jeff Bridges, he has a hunger organization, No Kid Hungry.
The actor, Jeff Bridges?
Yeah.
I like him, man.
I went to school with him.
Oh, really?
We were in the same club, the Gents.
Do you know him?
Yeah. I see him occasionally. He's still the dude.
He's still the dude. Yeah, that's the question.
He's always.
I just want to
way.
hear that, man.
He's
That's important.
He's a strange guy. He's a great guy, but he's strange.
I feel like most actors are probably have that to him.
Yeah, and he was even strange in high school. I mean, and strange in a different way. It was just always. Like one step more advanced in the netherworld type thing. It was just like he thought on a different plane than other people.
Yeah.
But it was always interesting, always fun. But so hunger is, to me, the biggest problem. Just look at that, and then you can add the homeless onto it. Why can't we, with the money we have, why can't we solve the homeless and solve the food problem? Two things saying, you want to set these, 2012, or by the end of 2000. How about in 1 year, let's
solve it?
Solve it. It's not like we don't have the resources.
I think it can get done.
We have the resources, we have the knowledge, we have the people, we have the infrastructure, we have everything we need to solve the problem. Why isn't it solved? It's another thing saying, why don't we cure cancer?
Isn't it solved?
You can't cure cancer. You can't sit there and put a deadline on curing cancer.
I agree.
You can't put a deadline on feeding people.
I agree with that.
So when you can't do that, and when you can't take care of old people and their suffering, and you can't take care of, you can't get education for all kids in all nations. School that Oprah has to build in Africa and the support that they have to have so the tribal lords don't come in and kill the women and you can't teach them and stuff. These are problems that are real that can be solved because we have what it takes to solve the problem.
I think so too.
And to me, that's why that's probably the main reason I'm in business for myself. When I worked for other people, it had nothing to do with making money, or it had to do with the satisfaction of seeing something done and accomplished right away.
Yeah.
When we do work I know it gets done, and it's done, and I can see we've accomplished what we set out to do. You say it's like instantaneous gratification. No, I want shit done when you have the resources to do it. There's no reason why it should not be
There's the
done.
opportunity here to get something done. There should be no reason why we can't do it.
Right.
It should be done.
When I have the guys at office, we need a proposal, I need some stuff on this. And if you're going to take a week to do it, then go someplace else. I am asking for it because I want it done, and it's something that can be done. You don't have to clock out at 5. Clock out at 5:15 and put that 15 minutes into what I want.
Yeah.
I want things taken care of that we have the capability of doing. And I have no
All right, so that
ability to accomplish this, but it's...
So it sounds like the problems are identified, and I feel like that is a good place to start if you don't know what the problems are. It sounds like we have the means to fix these problems, right?
Yeah.
We just need the individuals to take the responsibility to fix them.
And besides the individuals that can fix them, you need the support, you need the people, the society wanting realizing that is a goal. But you're not going to get that. You take the people in Malibu or any place else, have them recognize what the problem is, or are you willing to help out, whatever it takes, so we can solve the food problem. You can have a committee in Washington and say, we're going to take care of this, but they need the support of the country in some way. And the people, if they don't support that, then it's not going to get accomplished. And that's where part of the problem comes from. Whatever we need to take care of, there's not the support that you need.
For sure.
So it can't get done. People don't want shit done for whatever reason. And they got their own problems, their own needs, their own things.
For whatever reasons, that's the rub right there. That's the important part. Is you can't get it done. There's a reason why it's not.
Yeah.
So that's the real problem.
Yeah, I never thought there was a problem with anybody identifying in the world what the problems are. So I think everybody knows what the problems are. There's some differentiation between where they're ranked as importance, but in the end, they all get put on the list.
Sure.
Then the question is how to solve them, how we go about solving them, and are we going to solve them?
How we solve them is important too.
Exactly.
You can screw a lot of stuff up trying to solve one problem, right? Solving one problem could potentially create 15 more.
Yeah, exactly.
So you got to figure out the second, third, fourth, fifth order consequences of whatever thing you're trying to solve, and I think that's the trick.
Chess or backgammon or poker. When you make a move, you have to be already thought ahead what the next moves are, what's going to create.
Yeah.
When you're doing this, what is that going to create? And when you do that, what is that going to create? And think all the way down the line.
Yeah.
And get it solved. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know. Maybe we are working on some of these problems to a greater extent than I realize. But when you drive around, and you see a homeless person, and you see the police brutality, and you see every hour and a half they're lynching the police, or somebody's killing a black guy. These are problems that we didn't even touch on just because they're.
These are complicated problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely are.
And that's another. I mean, the racism in this country is something I don't know if you're ever going to solve, because you have the people in the South, basically, but you got other people. You got racists all over the place.
Yeah.
But you're raising your kids to be that way. So unless.
Wait, hold on. We're less racist than we were 50 years ago. By any objective, we have to be. We have to be. How about
maybe less overt racist? We're not going out like with in the Greensboro 4, kicking them and beating the shit out of them because they're sitting at a Woolworth food counter.
Yeah.
And then getting segregation laws and voting rights,
which is good, right?
Acted. So yeah, we're better than that because it's not as overt. But are we killing more black people now than we did 50 years ago?
No.
You don't think so? You don't think the police are killing more now?
No, I think black people are doing way better than they were in the 60s. In fact, I know that. They're the middle class.
I don't know.
Black folks that were in the middle class in 1960s, I think, was at 27%. It's up to 53 as of today.
Oh, I'm not talking about overall.
I know.
If we just take race, I mean, yes, their poverty level has risen, their education level, their job, maybe their satisfaction with their position, all that has risen.
But that's very important stuff.
That's important. But what's equally important is how how white people or how the rest of the world thinks of them. And if that doesn't improve, it doesn't matter how high you are, what you think, what you have your own self-esteem is and opinion is. If these people want to keep you down and want to kill you, then that is more important than where you think you are, or your job, or your family, or anything else. And if the racism hasn't decreased, it doesn't matter where.
Which I think it has. I think it has decreased. Most of those racist assholes who actually do see a disparity between races in regards to, like, what's the West word? Value or any of that kind of stuff. Anybody who actually sees that, those folks are going to die out. And the reason why they're bad ideas will die out over time.
Okay, well, it's the question.
Or get resurfaced in a different way.
How you regard it as a bad idea. A guy who's a dyed-in-the-wool racist does not think it's a bad idea. He thinks that's the proper order of things.
Yeah, but if that guy starts talking, right? If some guy came out and said, yeah, I think just black people are idiots, and that's just what my dad thought, and that's what I think. If that guy says that out in the world's going to shit on him, as it should. And but so
he's around people who think alike. He's not out
he's in
working in another
chamber,
area.
Right?
Racists and these southern idiots that have no education. I mean, that's just because that's the perception. It's all over. I'm using it because when you think of Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, that's where you think the hotbed. I mean, that's where civil rights movements. It didn't start in Northern California.
Hey, statistically, you're probably right. That's probably where most of them reside.
Confederacy. I mean, that's the breeding ground. Okay, for the Confederacy. So in the South, where racism began. In the South, where I think
racism began.
In the South, you have, I think, a greater amount of racist motherfuckers.
For sure.
And you say 50 years ago we're better now. The only thing is better is the people in the last 50 years who died off. Those racists don't exist, but they have kids. So, and if they keep teaching, so the grandfather dies off, so that gets rid of one, but he has a son. Let's say he already had the son, so he got rid of one, and still we're down one. But this guy now has a couple of kids. He's raising them, so we now increase the racism by one person.
Hold on. You don't think that it will dissipate over time as society and culture changes and realizes, like, I do think people can change. You're saying fundamentally you can't even change. So you're saying
it can change over
from
time.
A father to a son it can't change. I think an individual, very difficult to do, but can actually change their opinion and what they think is right.
The first couple of generations are going to be harder. As it gets down and they start getting more open in the world, they want to get out of their small little town, and they go to college and they learn more.
I want to marry someone other than my cousin.
Yeah, exactly. And my sister.
Yeah.
Trump would marry his daughter. Yes. Then it's like dirty water or something. You keep diluting the water, it eventually becomes clear. Never will be perfectly clear, but racism will slowly dissipate. But how many black lives are destroyed in the meantime? How many Hispanics, how many Asians are because of the racism that exists now?
From white people.
From white people.
I mean, Asians are doing better than white people, statistically.
Well, see, the thing with racism, it's always thought of.
If that's how you're looking, I mean, it depends on what level of analysis you're looking at.
Also depends. I mean, there's reverse racism. There's reverse affirmative action. You're taking in a black person instead of a white because you're trying to reverse the trend. That's how I didn't get into law school, because there was like one position in there, and
which I think is probably a good thing, to be candid with you.
Well, yeah, it's better because I make a shitty lawyer. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I didn't go to law school.
Yeah.
But that's why I hate black people. He took my job.
Soundbite.
So you do get is there amount of racism? The degree of racism with whites against blacks. Does it exist black against white? Does it exist Asian against white or Asian against black? We know what racism is, and it's usually talked about with white people disliking, for the most part, African Americans. To some extent, Latino, maybe Asian. But mostly, that's why it's Black Lives Matter. That's the one where the racism is focused on.
Yeah.
Is there racism on any of the other minority groups towards white or towards each other? Has any studies, how many Hispanics are racist against white?
For sure. Hey, for sure it happens. And the reason why I say that is, of course it happens. It's people. Like, we're all just people. And people are always going to revert back, not always. People will typically revert back to tribalism.
But
who
white against black racism is because whites feel they are better and superior to blacks, and blacks are...
How many folks do you know that actually think that?
Well, I don't...
You don't associate with those type of folks?
pretty much don't. I mean, there's a few people on my...
I've met a lot of folks. I don't know anybody who actually thinks that. I think they're small. I think we're talking about like...
So you don't know racists, or you don't know racists that think the whites are better than blacks?
Isn't that the idea of racism?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But...
I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm definitely not saying that they don't exist.
I'm sure
I feel like you're making me be a racist apologist right now. And it's pretty fucked up on your part. I'm not at all saying that.
I think there are racists who just don't like a race, not without thinking about it. Like,
you think it's just
because they took a job or so, not because they feel they're superior to them.
Okay.
So that's why.
Okay.
That's why I'm trying to do the reverse. If blacks are racist against whites, for what reason? Not are we better than they are, or is it because I just don't like whites? Is that the whites don't, is the racism whites, we just don't like blacks? Or is it because we don't like blacks because we feel they're inferior? So I'm trying to look at it from the other way. What reason would they be racist against whites or Asians against one other race? That they feel they're superior? Or is this, I don't like black people, I don't like Chinese people?
That's happened, just so we're clear, that's happened all throughout human history. So when you look at any tribes, they call themselves the people. They're the real people and everybody else is the other. We've always done that. I think we're getting better and better and better at it.
But even the Sunni and the Shiites, do it's just like the McCoys and the other ones that were do they feel they are better, one is better than the other, or they just don't like them? We just don't like you guys. Just hate it. It's no racism. I just don't like
you gotta go a little bit deeper than that, other than just I just don't like it.
When you go generation to generation, you pass on the hate. You don't pass on the reason for the hate. You say, we've always hated these people, and so you raise a 10-year-old kid. Oh, I hate you. What is the reason?
Why?
I don't know. My dad hated, my grandfather hated. We just hate you people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's getting better. Man, you are doom and gloom, Barry Woods.
No, I just because, exactly because I've lived through great times.
Yeah.
The 50s, the 70s, you leave your doors open. I got arrested and beat up by the police when I got arrested in the 70s for a demonstration in Century City. So I've been through that part of it, the good and the bad. I'm looking at it now, and I see you said there's good now. I'm literally seeing nothing but bad.
I think
maybe it's because of the newspapers and everything else, but shit.
I think that's what it is. Back in the 90s, how often was the news on? Twice a day?
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a day? 24 hours a day? But way more news channels.
But maybe more of the stuff has now come to a head. Environmental stuff. In the 90s, it was okay. Now it's a problem because we didn't bring it up in the 90s.
The 90s, it was way fucking
worse. And police, maybe they were beating up minorities in the 90s. Now
probably way worse.
Now we have iPhones.
We have body cams.
So now we see,
exactly.
So it may or may not be worse, but we're now aware of it.
I agree.
So the fact I'm aware of all the bad shit now doesn't mean that we're in a good position, that we've gotten better, and I just know bad shit. There's bad shit.
But to that point is during the 90s, we were probably doing way worse stuff to the environment than we're doing now. Would you agree with that? Like controls on especially here in the United States.
Yeah, because we've cleaned the Clean Water Act and several other things and outlawing certain chemicals. Yeah.
So from that perspective, we're aware of more of the problems, but because we're aware of more of the problems, there's more activism around solving these problems. So that's what gives me hope a little bit, is like, we see a lot more worse shit.
We've solved some, but then they sit there and say, but carbon footprint and stuff, it may have not even been known in the 90s. Now, and are we doing anything about that? And then we start solving that. Well, now, there's too much arsenic in the water that we didn't know about before. So now there's this. So now we're finding new problems. Like you talked about, there's more problems that come up.
Yep.
that we learn about, we solve a little bit, so that's gotten better. But oh shit, now that problem,
we got new ones.
It's brought new ones.
Yeah, which is okay.
It's not okay.
That's a perpetual problem that we're going to keep having. We're going to keep solving problems. That's going to create more problems. We're going to solve those, and that's all of human history.
If on a scale or thing that we're actually getting better, that'd be fine. But I see it more like the bad side going up.
Slow.
All right. I mean, I see you see 2 steps forward and 1 step back.
I do see that.
I see 1 step forward and 2 back, or 1.5 back.
1.5.
I see.
That's very generous of you to give that half step right there, man.
Because I don't see it double the worst.
Sure.
I just see that
there's a slight regression.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're
making improvements in something, and other areas where they're not making improvements, or not making them fast enough, or other ones are coming up.
Yeah. We just have different
perspectives. And some of those
are
and the problem with those is those are causing bigger problem, deaths. People are dying because we're not solving some of these problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's the hunger, whether it's the police brutality, whether it's the environment, there's a real consequence to not solving these. If it was just like, in 80 years we should solve this, otherwise we're going to have some dirty water. Fine, we take our fucking time on the thing. But when you're presented with this shit, that why is there even the fact that people don't have clean water? Why is it, well, we've gotten 50,000 people clean water. Oh, that's fine. Why doesn't everybody fucking have clean water?
We're trying to, man. We can't do it all at once.
Yeah, you can. You fucking can. It's fucking water. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how much faster.
Put your resources into, get 10,000 people
We're
for
doing
a week.
Hey, Bill Gates,
into a country and build
Bill Gates is doing it right now. He's
Yes.
trying to cure malaria. He's trying to cure 5 different diseases that are ravaging the world. There's some rich ass people doing some really good shit.
And then I have a say, if I had a certain amount of money, let's say Gates, come into a city, you can't solve it all, but okay, here's
one problem.
Here's $6 million. Build, and here's some land I just bought. Build a fucking homeless thing. That was one of the things I wanted to do, because I was going to do it for with some friends in Arizona. We were going to buy like a block of buildings and put up college housing there. Have a pizza place in there. Have when they had rental videotapes.
Sure.
And a volleyball court. So all the kids, instead of living in dorms or whatever, would pick in this thing. We'd also rent the furniture for the parents and store them.
That's cool.
So we'd have all this shit. So we would do the same thing, but build it where you can house 1,500 homeless people. That doesn't take much. That just takes money, and here's the money. Take care of it. You hire the contractor. You've already bought the land. You hire a contractor to speed the permits, and boom! In 6 months, you've now housed 1,500 homeless people.
Yeah.
You do that. You have enough rich people that you could build 10 of those. There's none. They can't even get one homeless shelter built in L.A. I mean, the shit's not getting done.
How do we do it? How do we do it, man?
I have no idea.
All right, well, I'm 32.
I mean, if I had the money to do it, then I would do it in the way that I would, see immediate results, because I cannot go through waiting for shit to happen.
Sure.
I have to, I want a homeless shelter built. I'm going to build it, or I want to cure a disease or get the mines out of Africa or so. Boom! I'm hiring 1,000 people to go through there. Let's, come up some technology that drones with metal things that can set off the things,
mine.
Whatever. But get it solved, not piecemeal. I don't like piecemeal shit. But that's me. It'll never be accomplished. But
the work is never done, my man.
That's true.
You got to pass the torch.
That's why I like my business, because when we're done with our work, it's done.
Yeah.
It's not a perpetual thing. The work is in general, but when we're done painting out graffiti, when we're done cleaning the railroad tracks,
you can look at it and say, "Here's this."
It's
now
done.
It looks like that.
We've done our job. It's done. It's beautiful. It's all taken care of. It's corrected. No problems. It's done.
I love it.
It's like painting the Golden Gate Bridge or something. You're painting it, and oh shit. I
start...
started last week. It's already fucked up again.
Yeah.
It's like
that's what they do. So down in San Diego, I found that out. Is they just have a contracting team running on the Coronado Bridge, nonstop.
Yeah.
It just goes one direction, comes back the other one, just nonstop, and they're paying for it. Like, you really got to do that?
Somebody was really smart. They come up with a much better paint.
That's
last, but
exactly.
It's there's.
All right, so we got some work to do.
And we do.
All right.
We do. And that's, I'm not going to be around a lot more years. So I was hoping that the world will be a little bit better when when I left, but it's going to be a lot worse than when I came. So.
We'll see. We'll see, man. We still got some time.
We do.
Yeah.
Not many, but a few years.
Yeah.
And you got people running backpack blowers, gas instead of electric.
Yeah.
We do that too, but.
So, man, are you doing it?
No, we're supposed to be. I told them I wanted to start converting everything to electric
That's
lawnmowers
cool.
and everything else. So
there's rumors about Tesla making Sprinter vans for contractors, doing a little combo with Daimler Chrysler, which would be awesome.
I have a deposit down with Rivian, which is making the electric
nice.
truck.
Yeah.
And the car. I have it down for the truck. A little disappointed when they finally came out and it has a short bed on it.
It doesn't have a short bed as a Cybertruck. You need to get one of
but
those.
the windows aren't good.
You need to get woods maintenance on a fleet of Cybertrucks.
You gotta get but the way our guys weed whacking shit, a rock will go right through the window.
Exactly.
So, we have to pay more.
It can't, dude. They're bulletproof, dude. You're good.
But they're bulletproof. They're not rock.
Yeah. That is true.
Didn't he throw a rock? He threw a rock at it. I think.
Yeah.
And that's what our guys do. I mean, I should open a glass place because San Luis Glass is making a fortune off our guys breaking glass, parked cars,
Weed
with
whacking
rocks.
right next to it.
So
that'll do it.
It's so hopefully the electric stuff will come in. I wrote a note to Rivian about it. I said, is there any way to speed up mine or this and that? So I want to start converting our thing. I said, right now we have like 80 vehicles, try to get them excited that they could,
get an 80 vehicle.
Want to convert our truck fleet. So she asked me all these questions, none of which would make it sound like we're good for it. Like, because when I look at our vehicles, we don't have that many that could really be converted because we got the dump trucks and high lifts and other things. But if we can get a bed
even
that's
a portion
long enough,
of it,
that can fit the pressure washer and the paint stuff, we can convert, become an environmentally friendly company. I wanted to put, when we were doing the remodel on our office, asked about doing a flat roof that we can put solar panels on. I said, well, he's adding all these permits in and things that you're not going to be able to get because of this. So now I have to throw that out, that we can't do that. And I said, if I was 40, it'd be much different than being 70. I could accomplish a lot more, but at this point, it's not going to matter. It's not going to get done.
Well, Jared's doing it, right?
To some extent, yeah.
Yeah. What's up, Jared?
No,
Jared
awesome. Would be good to.
Jared's awesome, man. I really enjoyed my conversation I had with him.
To take over the company.
You have a very solid family around that company, so it's been a joy to work with you guys.
Jeff will be out soon, I hope. No, Jeff will. When Jeff departs, and I depart, and Josh is still there because Josh is mid-40s, so he'll be there 25 years, or 20 years maybe. If he makes enough money, he'll get out. And Jared will be there.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who gets it passed down to anybody in the family unless it's my daughter's twins, because Jared's not having any kids, and Josh has a couple, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to go for it. So.
All right. Hey, if you need someone to pass it down to, dude, I got a guy for you.
It's we were planning before Jared came in. I was planning just running it into the ground, for a time.
Running it into the ground.
Yeah, just keep it as it is, and when we lost business, just not replace it. Just have enough
slowly
to retire.
Run it off.
Yeah, I could spend my time here.
Are you still? Is it still rolling?
We're rolling
still
right
rolling.
now.
Oh, jeez. Jared's on his way. Did you see my text?
I have my phone's in the other room.
Okay, Jared's on his way.
All right, let's wrap it up. Barry, thank you so much for the time today, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to do it.
Yeah, the 10 folks that are going to see this are going to love it. Yeah.
Yeah, for the 10 folks.
Yeah.
Two-fisted.
Yeah.
Here's your soundbite.
Exactly.
Fuck
Yeah.